Salutations. We are back once again. Another episode of Not Gonna Lie. It's
Not
me,
gonna lie.
Earl. Got my boy Matt,
Right.
Obi. We are here fresh off
Yes,
of
sir.
game 4. What a game. We're gonna get into that. We also gonna talk a little bit of Richard Sherman and a little bit of hot Jets news. But I think we're gonna kick it off with game 4. The
Kick it
series
off
is
with not
now
gonna lie.
tied.
Not
You
gonna
gotta
lie.
not gonna lie. Go ahead. You gotta go ahead. Tell them what you got.
Y'all got any? Not
I
gonna
got one.
lie. Chris Paul. Chris Paul had a lot of money on the Bucks.
Yo.
Ah,
He had a
You,
lot of.
Fred
I
not
even
gonna like
remember.
Fred not gonna like that one.
Listen, a lot of my friends not gonna lie. They already told me. They already hit me up and said not to mention it. I'm like, yo, I gave Book I cooked Book last time. I gotta cook Chris Paul. They
you
switched
gotta be
roles.
fair. You gotta be
But
fair.
no, Chris Paul 5 turnovers and a crucial one at the end of the game. That's not even like him. Besides when Westbrook did that in like 2015 to him when he cookied him. So I know he had money on the Bucks. So he's just trying to make it close. We'll see what happens next game. We'll see.
What you got, Ben? Not gonna lie.
So my not gonna lie is I am looking crazy right now for Bucks and Suns and 4. And I feel crazy. I really thought that Giannis was hurt, and that's my bed that I'm gonna lay in. I did not think he was gonna play in this finals, and I will accept that L right now because the Bucks have tied the series, and I don't even know what to think at this point is gonna happen. And I'm not gonna make another prediction because I'll take my 1L and I'll hold that. Yeah, I said Suns at 4,
I
and the
mean,
series is tied at 4, but they're not up 4, so I look crazy.
My call of Suns in 5 is out the window as well. And I don't have the thinking Giannis was gonna be hurt, to fall back on. I'm not gonna even use that. Whether he played or not, I pick Phoenix. I'm still picking Phoenix. But like I said in the last episode, it's there's ebbs and flows to the series. I'm not judging it by what we saw on paper. I'm judging it by what they were doing from game to game. And I said it after the last game. If Milwaukee continued to do what they did in game 3, then they should be able to, win another one at home. But essentially all they really, really did was what they were supposed to do, right? They defended home court. It's 2-2. It's a brand new series. If you're Phoenix, if you're Phoenix or Milwaukee, it now makes this swing game the most important. But I'm not gonna lie, I gotta be with Obi in terms of Chris Paul was almost non-existent, through large stretches of that game. And then it was worse than non-existent at the end. He was negatively impacting the game, in the most crucial points. So I don't expect that to happen again. But um, it did kind of give me flashbacks, thoughts of just all of the situations and scenarios, whether self-inflicted or not, where he was, on the cusp of getting it done in terms of making it to the finals, and then it didn't happen. I don't want to say that he as a competitor that's probably creeping in his head, but I, I started to think about it. Like I really, really did. Like, man, this was the opportunity for them to really not close it out, but take a commanding, put a chokehold on the series. They were up 8 or 9, I believe, at some points in the fourth quarter of that game. To blow that lead was bad, even on the road, because you got what you needed from everybody else, like you really did. Book gave you what you needed. Aiton gave you what you needed. My new favorite player, I mean, he had 18 rebounds. I don't know how many points he had on the top of my head, but he was definitely a force in the paint. Giannis wasn't going in there and dunking on him every play. So he definitely was a force. I feel like he did
Well,
his
he
job.
wasn't going in there dunking on Giannis. I'll tell you that.
No, that's not his job. That's not his job. That's not Ja.
Nah, I'm referencing something. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, huge defensive play by Giannis on that alley oop block. At the end of the
That's
game.
what I'm referencing.
Yeah. They absolutely Milwaukee. I'm gonna give them props for locking in defensively down the stretch. I thought that it was a pretty well defensively played game. I think that the officiating played into it, and I don't mean to say that the officiating was poor. I just mean that it was clear, it was drastically changing. Throughout the game, the way that they were officiating it. I'm not gonna say that that was good or bad. I wanted to ask you guys because Jeff Van Gundy made a comment during the telecast that he was saying, how drastically different the playoffs are, and specifically the finals are officiated in comparison to the regular season, and how we as fans, or as the basketball purists, we're like, oh yeah, we're getting real. This is playoff basketball. That's what we always say. But how does that impact the way that the players are adjusting? Do they want it that way, or do they want to, or do they want the same officiating that they get during the regular season? I just thought that was interesting.
I have an answer for that.
Yeah. So, and then my last point. Chris Middleton has become the most intriguing, interesting story
At home, Earl. At
that I've seen, because
home. At home.
can you guys think of a player in the past that we consider the caliber of Middleton, right? Where he's not quite that, he's not he's an all-star. We don't
Allen
consider him a
Houston.
superstar.
I was going to say Allen Houston.
Yeah, I beat you.
where the success of the team, you know what I mean, or the championship or whatever you want to call it, is so heavily dependent on how this person plays. Like it's crazy to me. Like that's the last thing that I would say. Oh, props the book for bouncing back. We killed him, so I at least want to give him props for bouncing back.
All right. Where do I start? All right. That block was insane.
Yo, we have made NGL history right here. This is NGL history for those that don't know. This is the first transition we've done in NGL history. Shout out to Obi, bro. That was clean.
Shout out to my background. I should do something with that. But listen,
bravo, Obi. Hand clap.
Nah, that block was insane. Game series saving block. If you really think about it. So shout out to Giannis for doing that, putting his body on the line. Like, I would have definitely let the poster go without being in it. But Giannis said, nah. I mean, that's a Nigerian stuff. It's definitely not.
He knew it was
wow.
big, too. You see how
he said, wait, did you hear what he said
though?
though? Earl, did you hear what he said? Say that again, Obi. The last part.
That's his Nigerian side. That's definitely not the Greek side. It had nothing to do.
I got no problem with that. With that.
Yeah, man. The man ate his fufu. I told you about that stuff right there, man. Listen. Also, also, I'm still alive. I think I said Bucks and 7, so I'm still alive.
Oh, you did. Go ahead. Okay, Obi.
You did say
Obi pulling his receipts. Let's go, Obi.
So where we going? Okay. Everybody did their part, right? Besides Chris Paul. But I can't kill him too much because everybody did their part last time besides Booker. So fair. It's like,
that's fair.
It happens. It happens.
I don't mean to fight you on this, Obi, though. Did you see what Ayton did?
I mean, Ayton goes by the team, right? So if Chris Paul is cooking, Ayton gonna eat. You know what I mean? Like, Ayton didn't really. He and if Booker and Chris Paul are cooking, then Ayton's gonna have 35. Like it's just like, because then you have to throw so much at him, and Ayton he literally is wide open under the rim. And so he was missing a couple gimmies today, but like it wasn't like detrimental to the team. It was close-up shots, whatever, but a little bit contested here and there. So I mean, Ayton did Ayton. You know what I mean?
The only reason I mentioned him because I know how you feel about him. So I'm like, let me see.
I don't feel like negatively about him. I was just
surprised you didn't bring him up as one of the reasons first as to why they did not win this game.
I don't give him the reason. I don't give him the credit for them winning, so I can't give him the credit for them losing. Like,
You don't think
That's
it's
smart.
like impactful one way or the other. That's
Nah,
amazing.
that's
I
good.
think
That's good.
he's been impactful defensively way more than I anticipated. So I was
Mhm.
definitely, I won't say I was wrong because I never mentioned his defense, but I was pleasantly surprised by the way Ayton was holding it down, especially in the wake of Rudy Gobert. Gobert.
God,
Getting
dang,
cooked. So
we
like,
we gotta give credit to Earl on that one,
Is
Earl.
Gobert playing
he's
for
a
France? Is he playing for his country? Gobert?
come on, man. He need to be practicing in the same gym with Ben Simmons. Just figured something out because I don't know.
Man, shout out to Nigeria while we talking about international teams, man.
Yeah, man. So but yo, all right. So we go yeah, Chris Paul. So like you were telling me about flashbacks of when Chris Paul, honestly, it's so difficult, right? Because he's so in control. Whenever things go wrong, it's like easy to just be like, yo, you can pinpoint those exact things, like just like LeBron. I mean, they're so good at what they do. When they mess up, you always remember it. Like for me specifically, I remember that OKC versus Clippers series. Maybe never, not everybody remembers it, but they had that game in hand. Chris Paul had the it would have won. They would have won the series. They would have won up 3-1 or whatever. And Chris Paul got cookie by Westbrook, who usually doesn't even play that much defense, to be honest. You know what I mean? And that's my guy. But he got cookie by Westbrook and turned it over again, and he was just messing up, and at the end of the OKC series from last year, when Chris Paul was on OKC, you know, he was doing a little bit of funniness at the end of that game 7, and it ended up being, it wasn't a turnover, but it ended up in Dort's hands. You don't want the ball in Dort's hands. And he got blocked by James Harden, who has never blocked a 3-point shot in his life.
Hold on, don't do
I
that.
said never blocked a 3-point shot in his life. So
Okay,
all right.
okay.
Anyway, back to the point is, I'm not gonna kill Chris Paul way too much, but he definitely deserves the lion's share of that L because everyone else came to play. Even the refs came to play against against the Bucks. That was insane. Booker had 9 fouls.
That was listen. So listen, before you even go, Bent, because I'm gonna let you. Well, you didn't even get in yet on the Suns. I do. Let me just jump right in on that sequence of of fouls and
You have the floor. You got the floor, dog.
unfortunate events, right? So before Booker gets his 5th foul, which I don't know, I love the intensity that he was playing with, but there were some points where it was just like, yo, Book, what are you doing? Like, cool out. Like, what are you
He was
doing?
locked in though. He was locked in.
He was locked in. So the 4th foul that he got for the loose ball foul for the forearm shiver on PJ Tucker, right? After that, they get tangled up. I'm sorry, excuse me. They get tangled up, and this is before the foul. Excuse me. Before the foul, they get tangled up, and the refs call it off of the foot of Booker. But he was arguing, saying that it was off of Tucker, and he wanted Monty Williams to review it. Monty didn't want to waste it and review it, so they went on, lost the possession. Very next play, this dude picks up his 5th foul. Very next play, he picked up his 5th foul and had to come out for a large part of the 4th quarter. And I think that impacted the game, because he was cooking up until that point. He got, don't quote me on the time, but I think it was at like 11 minutes, maybe a little bit less, that he went out, and he didn't come back until single digits, in the 4th quarter left. Then to the point that you made, he goes back in the game, knowing he has 5 fouls, right? And intentionally wraps up who I don't even know who was
clobbered
taking
that
the
nigga.
shot.
I think
it was
Drew
Drew
Middleton.
Holiday. It was Drew Holiday.
It was Drew.
It was Drew.
Clobbered
Yeah,
him.
it was Drew. Wraps up Drew in front of the ref. Don't tell me that these refs don't know time and situation and player and like that was egregious. Like, if the basketball gods exist, there's no way that they could allow Phoenix to win that game after that.
Yeah, man, the refs are definitely it was wilding. So I mean, everyone in the world saw that. So I mean, I'm sure that ref he got to get fined or something. I don't know what they're doing. They got to take some money out of his pocket because that was nuts. Um, but yeah, all in all, that was that was that made it interesting, right? So like, I know most people don't have a dog in this fight besides Chris Paul fans, and Kobe fans are rooting for Book like me. I want to see Book be legendary, like Kobe said. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know if Kobe said anything to Giannis. I don't remember anything like that, but it stuck with when Book said it to. Yeah, yes, sir. It stuck when Kobe said to Book, because he definitely took him under his wing, and Book has like the most fire Kobe's besides PJ Tucker. So, yeah, but you guys want to move on? You got anything else to say about that series?
Nah,
I'm just
bet,
happy
bet,
I'm just
yeah,
happy it's
bet.
gonna be at least 6.
That this series has just taken a complete turn for me. Like I was so confident, and the mistake I made was the fact that Giannis came out looking way healthier in game one than I thought he was supposed to be. And that should have signaled me to think that he's not as hurt as I originally thought. And that should have led me to believe that he was going to ball out for the rest of the series. I don't remember his numbers from the first game, but the whole world knows he
6 for
scored
10,
40
20
in the
points.
next two. How much?
6 for 10, 20 points, or 6 for 11. Yeah.
That 20 points may not seem crazy to most people, but to me, for somebody that thought he was not going to be able to play the entire finals,
Mm-hmm.
that should have told me from jump. Like if he could go get 20, then he may be ready to play for game 3, unless he re-injures.
Right.
And we recorded our first broadcast right after game 1. So we had we had even more of an advantage in predicting the series. You know what I'm saying? Whether we were right or wrong, we had more information. So I definitely messed up about gauging his health after that game 1. For him to be able to drop 20, that should have told me like he could do something out there. You know what I'm saying? So I should have used that information to say, to make a prediction on a better series, but clearly I was being stubborn and I just assumed that he probably was still hurt and they would probably sweep him because he was injured. Yeah, and his fufu that he ate,
That
clearly
Popeye spinach. That's that
clearly
fufu.
gave him enough to come out there and bust his son's ass 3 games in a row. Even in the L's, he bust their ass every single game, and he's playing out of his mind. And James Harden looking crazy because I don't care what you say. You ball like this, you got skill. Okay, even though your athleticism is ridiculous, I'm sorry, you gotta have skill. Like
I'm not saying he doesn't have skill, but
Even Shaq when he was doing hack and Shaq
Shaq
in
was
the
nasty.
finals, he was skilled enough to hit free throws when it counted, and Giannis has done the same thing. So I'm going where he got some skill.
So one thing I'll say is, people give Harden flack for that out of nowhere, but they forget that Giannis was really picking on Harden. Yo, Giannis, I don't even know. Giannis
He
is
was being
mad
an
nice to
ass. He
everybody.
was being an asshole.
He's
Keep
mad
it a
nice
buck.
to everybody, and then all of a sudden, with Harden, he was just ODing on him. Like he was in the All-Star game, he was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna pick him. I want to win." And and then 2 minutes later, I'm not picking him
But
because I need someone that
but
plays
didn't
defense.
didn't
And
didn't
then
Harden
and
didn't
he was
Harden
wilding.
didn't Harden say some stuff prior to that, like when Giannis got the
No,
MVP
Nah,
vote,
Giannis started it,
no.
Earl. Giannis started it.
Giannis was ODing on him, like he was bullying him
or at
for like a
least yeah,
year,
or at least
and then he threw the ball in his face,
so
which
maybe
that might be the most skill I've ever seen Giannis possess because
I just
that
feel
was
like
too coincidental.
I just feel like I remember Harden
Oh,
complaining
shoot.
that he didn't win MVP.
He complained
Maybe
every
he
year
didn't. I'm
because
just
he was
saying
number
maybe he
2 every
didn't
year.
specifically call out Giannis, but if you feel like, oh, I should have won, right? And I'm the guy that did win.
But wouldn't
Like,
that make that guy sensitive? I mean,
oh yeah, of course. That's
in
not in
any
that's not
field,
but that's not what's in question here. That's not
No,
sure that
because
makes Giannis sensitive.
I
right
don't
now
think.
I
If
don't
we
think
talk
that's
about
what
what's in
happened.
question,
reacting the way
I would say that that doesn't make Harden have started it because that guy was sensitive. I don't think that's a fair
no,
conclusion.
so no,
But it didn't happen that way
but
either
to
way because
Giannis, uh, So wait, hold on. To Giannis, it could have been that way. That could have been what started it. You know what I mean? Like he could. I'm not in no way. This is not a like. Are you with Giannis or are you with Harden? Like that's not what I'm. Like that's not what I'm saying. It's
No, I
just that.
understand that.
It's just that the fact that we think it was so left field, and we're like, why the hell is Giannis going at Harden like that? Like what is it? Like why he decided to go at him that way? Like what did he do? And it could very well have been. And I even feel like I've heard it alluded to somewhere. Because of how much of a stink Harden made about not winning MVP. And you could, I'm
Mm,
not denying your point,
I
Obi,
don't.
that he
I don't think
complains
it happened
every
that way,
year.
bro.
But
Because he
say that again.
complained before. I don't think he happened. I don't think he complained about Giannis's MVPs because he complained before that. When like Steph was winning it and he didn't win it, and then Westbrook won it and he didn't win
Okay.
it. So he actually won the MVP, and then
So
Giannis won
neither of
his.
those Giannis. So you saying neither of those
So it wasn't.
Giannis
Yeah,
years he
it
wasn't
wasn't.
the
Yeah,
guy that should have
and he
gotten
was
it.
already, and Giannis was already bullying Harden before those MVPs. Yo, Giannis been bullying him for a while, son. I'm
I mean,
telling
but all
you.
we heard, I feel like the first time we heard of it, if the first time we heard of it was either the All-Star game or when Harden made that response, right? Like the only clear we knew these dudes were talking, like Giannis said what he said, and Harden did his interview with Rachel Nichols, or I think it was Rachel Nichols, and he said, I wish that I could just come down the court and dunk every play. Like that doesn't take skill. I actually have to have skill to, like
Yeah.
that right. Well, I don't
So
know the timeline of
yeah,
who
and
said
so
what
I
when. You
mean,
know what I mean? But
we dragging it together, right? And so I mean, I'm gonna keep going. You can go, but I'll just say this: he was when Harden actually said that, it was about a year and a half or maybe almost 2 years of Giannis taking cheap shots at this dude every All-Star break. It was 2 years in a row he took cheap shots, and before that, and he threw the ball in his face like so. But anyway, moving on. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the way Cam Johnson is balling, bro. This man needs to get paid. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not advocating for him to get paid like that, but he's killing in the playoffs, like,
no,
and he's
listen,
efficient.
you're not
So,
wrong. Don't back up off it, Obi. Don't back up
but I
off it.
mean,
Is he a free
I'm with
agent,
you.
Obi?
I'm with you. I don't
I
know.
don't
I don't
know. I
know.
have
I
no
don't
idea
know.
what his
I'm gonna
contract
say
situation is,
probably not. I'm gonna say he's probably still on his rookie deal.
but he may
Gotcha.
get paid before Marcus May gets paid.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I please let me do this. Listen.
Go ahead, start it off.
Listen. I I am the Jets fan. So oh yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's do that. So today the information was released by a source
Yesterday.
who I think was Marcus May's agent. The information that was released from his agent stated that the Jets made an offer 20% below uh, the franchise tag value. So tag value is about 10.6, which would have made the offer around 8.9, basically $9 million annually. So that being said, Marcus May made a counter offer. His counter offer has been on the table since then, according to the source. And that source also said that offer was never responded to by the Jets. And today or yesterday, past 24 hours, has been withdrawn. So we are left to wonder, and he's already signed a franchise tag. So we're left to wonder, are the Jets being cheap with their money as far as not wanting to give him an offer at 28 years old? He was drafted like 25 years old by Mark McCagnon. Who has a Mike McKenna, I'm sorry, who has a tradition of drafting old players, i.e. Nathan Shepard, D tackle, 26 years old. That's his thing. So even though Marcus May has been very good for the Jets, we have seen that he's 28 years old. Now that I think 6 of the top 10 safeties are over 30 years old. Top 10 paid safeties in the league are over 30 years old. So a lot of the league is thinking, and a lot of media sources are thinking that the Jets are just being cheap as they can sign him to a 3 to 4 year deal, and he'll still be able to perform at over 30 years old. But me personally, my logic is, why would you give him a 3 year deal, 4 year deal when you could franchise tag him this year and it just have plenty of cap space, like $75 million, some ridiculous number. So franchise tag him this year, franchise tag him next year in 2022, and you have 2 more years of his peak performance. Statistically, he'll be 30 years old and a free agent. Go get your money. What you get at 30 years old? I know it sounds cold blooded, but to me, it makes the most sense. He's 28 years old, looking for a big time deal. Jets should take advantage of the franchise tag. They don't have anybody else to franchise tag.
Listen, man. In Joe, we trust. Let's do this again. In Joe, we trust. All right.
Let's
So
do it.
listen.
Let's do it.
Listen,
Get into it, or we
listen,
get active.
listen. I'm gonna tell you this. Joe has been wrong before. Um, and I'll get into that in a second. But you can't. First of all, Jets need to stop. Well, we gotta blame Mike McCagnon for putting him in this situation.
Yes.
Two safeties,
Yes. Talk your
two
shit.
safeties with premium picks back to back in the same draft, and then the second one you're gonna make him my age. So like, you know, and I feel washed, so he's washed too. Nah. He's dead nice. He's dead nice, but he could be washed if he feels like me. So I don't know, but I'm not paying him a long. I don't know what kind of contract he wants, but 20% below the franchise tag average. You know what I mean? Again, that's wordplay because they could have been doing it 20% less than what he would have got if he get franchised 3 times in a row. Because you know how they be doing it in football. They got an extra secret franchise the following year after the second year and the third. Like you don't even know about that one. They don't even tell the fans about that one because that one's just to scare the players. Um, so yeah, but we got to think about this. What if he's the next Robbie Anderson, right? What if he goes somewhere else and cooks and even more without Gase, So that's what makes me nerve-wracking. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather overpay him than, right now, front load his contract because the Jets have so much money than, just let him go to another team. It's annoying, but because he was, it's like sometimes you just want to reward the dude that was with you that actually behaved while Jamal Adams was doing craziness. You know what I mean?
You said
And
like a toddler.
Stay loyal. You stay loyal. You stay
nah,
true.
I usually don't like saying things like behave because it's like it feels like slave master and like this, like when you come
I mean, we
coming.
already
Yeah,
talked
nah,
about
I
But
hear
he
you.
was,
I hear you.
but
But he was
he was
throwing
out of
a temper
control.
tantrum. He was throwing a
He was
temper
throwing
tantrum. That's what
temper
he said,
tantrums.
babe. You was thinking of
Yeah.
your daughter. He had to get spanked real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then we flipped that to Jay Hall, Jay Hall. They'll tell stories about that trade for years to
Woo!
come. So, Marcus, tell your agent to chill out before you get Jahald out of here too. You know, like come back to the table. We'll give
I
you a
see what you did
3 year
there.
deal, something like that. Everyone happy. I mean, I hope they do pay him. I do want he is just something front loaded. Yeah. So
So
What you think, Earl?
my
speaking of
my
secondary, oh, go ahead.
my route would be totally not totally different, but so as much as we talk about how injuries have destroyed the playoffs, right? I feel like football is run by injuries. You know what I mean? And we talk about all of these guys with that they get the deals, they go to new places. We're excited to see them. Oh, they're gonna change the franchise, and then when dudes are hurt, or we talk about so many teams that we predicted were gonna do one thing and they ended up down the pike because they were hurt. Like the life expectancy on these guys is so short. So when you say to me that he's 27, that he's 28, what I'm watching and what I've seen from football, it makes perfect sense to me that they're not trying to sign a long-term deal like to anybody, that's of an age outside of a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, that's not a premium position.
Yeah, right. So the only reason that I could see them um going all out, right? Will be one or two reasons, right? So it will be the reason that you said, Obi, right? Which is just a little home cooking. Thank you for riding out with us, right? We're gonna hook you up. Or if they really believe that they have every other piece in place to get it done, and they don't want to have to scramble, you know what I mean? And fill that position. I don't know that Marcus May is that. I don't even think that you put that much value on, that position. But, I think that one of those two scenarios would be the only scenario where I see it being worth, go ahead and giving him a long-term deal. If that's not the case, and you can franchise him, why wouldn't you? Like
I think a third one is that the leadership aspect. 28, he's also an adult in the locker room, and this is the youngest secondary, I would assume, in the league, especially if Marcus May doesn't, they have to be the youngest secondary. So I would I would pay him off of that. I would give him a 3-year deal close to the first franchise tag. Joe knows what he's doing with his money, so hopefully they actually do it, and it's just not. I think they got one more day left, so we'll see. Or I mean, he already signed the franchise tag, so it's like it is what it is. He's gonna play on it. He's too old to be skipping checks.
Right.
So,
Right.
That's a fact.
Right.
So
yeah, like I understand him wanting to get the extra value. I think what has been underreported is his friendship with Jamal Adams. I understand, like, they came into the same draft. Him being a little bit older, he witnessed a completely different roster, than what we have today. Like, I think Marcus May's longest tenured on the team, because I think Jamal Adams was long tenured last year, and they were drafted together. So I think Marcus May is the longest tenured. He saw all the drama under the old leadership. He saw the Osemele injury malpractice suit. He saw the Quincy Anumwa malpractice suit with the trainers. He saw Jamal Adams not get paid and then get traded. And his agent has made it very clear, like, the Jets are not going to do right by you. So this is all in his head from the beginning. And I think it's making contract negotiations way more difficult, than it needs to be. And he's also, his age is the biggest factor. Like, I think it was Obi, or I'm sorry, I was locked in. But when we talk about the Jets, we haven't talked about the Jets this whole season, so I'm a little bit fired up.
We both mentioned his age,
but yes, his age is the biggest factor. His point of view, he's 20 years old. This is his only big contract of his career. This is it. You know what I'm saying? You got dudes like Sam Darnold coming in the league under 20 years old. He was damn near 26 when he got drafted. This is going to be his only big contract. He may get a 1 year here or there if his game improves more, but this is it for him. He's trying to get every dollar he can get. You know what I'm saying? So I completely understand his point of view. Best case scenario for him is, because right now they're at odds, don't get injured, take both of these franchise tags the next 2 years, and then hope that you perform to a level that teams are still going to want you at 31 years old after you do these 2 years of guaranteed money. That's his best bet. I understand the Jets in the salary cap position not wanting to commit that much money. We got Quinnen Williams coming up. He's about to be eligible for a contract after he does whatever he does this year. And then after that, you got Mekhi Becton You know what I'm saying? And then Zach Wilson in that order, and Elijah
That's
Vera
not a
Tucker in
lot
the
of
same
money.
year. I
That's
know
one
it's
player
not a
each
lot
year.
of it's not a lot of
Like
money,
other
but
teams have.
it's not a lot of money. But I expect the Jets to make up for their deficiencies next year in free agency. You got Marshawn Lattimore coming in the free agency. He's coming off his rookie contract. He's a Pro Bowl, All Pro cornerback. We at our weakest position. Most likely, we're going to get torched in the secondary if we don't get sacks and pressures. So the Jets are trying to have money to at least acquire two starting cornerbacks next free agency, and possibly an edge defender or a right guard, our only weakest on the line. So they need all this money to fill all these holes in a short period of time. They're not trying to commit that to a 30-year-old safety when they could just franchise tag him.
Facts. One thing I'll say about Joe is a lot of other GMs use the franchise tag as like the floor, and it seems like Joe's using it as like the ceiling, and he's letting you
That's
know, like,
interesting.
listen, you old as hell, so
The
I can
floor is the
franchise you
ceiling.
now, and if you do
The
get
ceiling is
hurt,
the
what
roof.
happens to you, right? What happens to you? So it's like he's trying to scare them with the franchise tag, so you can say, okay, I'll give you security, but maybe it's going to come at 20% less than 3 years of what the franchise tag would be. And they're starting to think like, yo, he's like, do you want security or do you want to play on, risk playing with 1 year? So I like it because he's setting the tone for later. But if he doesn't sign him, you never know. And like you said, next year Jets need to sign the cornerback, but this year they need to sign Richard Sherman still. I
Oh, he's
still
available
don't
for
care.
the low. We
Yeah,
just got a coupon.
bring that ass here, boy.
Groupon.
Listen, we got a
Word.
coupon. Sometimes uncles need to get beat up. You heard? Sometimes uncles need to get beat up. As long as he wasn't touching his wife, whatever. Nah. But listen,
Yeah.
no, for real though, that's a fact. Like, but I don't
No,
care if
it
he beat
is
up. I
for
don't care if he
the
beat him up.
audience. There were the wife already said, Ashley Morris, he did not lay hands on anybody in the family, and
Yeah.
on the
Besides
911
possibly the uncle.
call,
Yeah,
it was a scuffle with his uncle. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
for the audience to understand.
His uncle sounded like he lost too, the way he sounded in the background. Coach.
Right.
But listen,
And I think the key right there is it was his uncle, right?
I don't know who's. It don't
Was it
matter whose
his
uncle.
uncle?
It sounded like her uncle.
It was her uncle.
It sounded like it. Yeah, who
Okay.
knows? But
I don't think it matters. It was a uncle. Let's call him
yeah,
a
Yeah,
uncle.
it was.
when you married, when you married, it's y'all uncle.
It's both.
So,
Yeah, it's both their uncles. After that point,
but but listen, it's not it.
Agreed.
So talking about the situation, like, um, you know, I think after hearing the recordings unanimously in all my group chats and even the internet, and I was proud of the media actually. It seemed like everyone took issue with the dispatcher, and it like she was so disrespectful to that woman that was in distress, and
yes.
she had no patience, and she had no, like she wasn't sincere at all. She was just rude lady with no kind of like, it was just so disrespectful.
She had no
And
empathy. None.
no
Yeah.
empathy. That was the word I was
Yeah.
looking for. No empathy at all. And it was just it cringed. I cringed. Like I couldn't listen to it at first. Like I was just like, yo, like, this woman is letting you know, like she's like pretty much crying and panicking on the phone, and you're just like correcting her and stuff like this. Like, oh,
On trivial things. I
like
need one person talking. Like what?
you
What?
you
Like
yeah, it was just
we're not in class. You're not the teacher.
Why are you disciplining the
Yeah.
person that's calling you in a traumatizing, life altering situation? Like what? Why are you
So
correcting her or how she should communicate with you?
so
that just oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, finish.
That just made me realize, like, yo, some people really hate their job, like, because that's not the line of work she's supposed to be in, and I hope she loses her job. And I'm thankful I saw Pro Football Focus speak out on it, and I hope that highlighted it for other, other businesses and people with the voice in media to like speak out on that, because that was just crazy. And thankfully nothing bad happened, but like, you know, that was a terrible experience for her. And, like if it was a different kind of scenario, that like, I don't think that, things could have got worse, just because of, her
Yeah,
calling for help, and the help is the one worse than the person that, I mean, males experience that sometimes when the help comes, but it was worse talking to that lady than it was, might have been
absolutely,
with Richard Sherman. So
Mhm.
absolutely.
It,
Um,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
bro.
Ben,
My
because
bad.
no, no, no. I'd like to get the last word on this one if I
Okay.
can. So go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, and shout out to Ashley Moss, his wife, Ashley Sherman. I'm sorry, because she announced on social media that she's still married to him, and the initial article referred to her
mm,
as his ex-wife, which I thought was very corny for other reasons, but I
Bentley the
digress.
lawyer, can you touch upon burglary, DV, when they just starting
Oh,
combining, they just combining
all
stuff
right,
like.
real quick, because I don't want Earl to forget his last words. So
I'm
I'm,
good.
an,
No, I
I'm.
didn't.
Are
I
you
got you.
good?
Yeah.
I bet. So, as far as this charge, I've never heard of this charge. I am a court officer in criminal court. I am
and
giving
you
out
have
that information,
and
and
he's a
I
lawyer.
have a Juris Doctor. I graduated in August of last year from law school. I've never heard of this charge called domestic violence burglary. I've never heard of this charge. But again, I learned the law of New York State. The great state of Washington apparently has this charge. I've never heard of it. I looked up their laws too. I did a little bit of research, and from what I learned, they can attach to other criminal acts. So they attached the domestic violence to the burglary charge, which is entering a dwelling with unlawful intent. Unlawful.
Mm. So they
So,
could have said, you know, domestic, like let's say he was fighting an uncle, right, in the street. They could have said domestic violence jaywalking.
Yeah. Right.
pretty much, that's what I
That's
that
what it
is
sounds like to me.
that is yo Obi. That's the legal effect that I took from it because it made no sense to me. Anyway, so he did break into the home of what they misreferenced originally because it's not his ex-wife, it's his wife, his in-laws home, and unlawfully entered it, and because of that it was burglary with domestic violence, and he merged the two together into a charge, just a little special they served up for Richard Sherman, which I think is crazy. But listen, it is what it is. And that 911 operator is crazy. She was completely indifferent to this woman's cries for plea. And I've never rooted for somebody to lose their job, but when you in the business of saving lives, you gotta go. You can't have bad apples in certain professions. Y'all know the other ones.
That's
You
so
wouldn't
good
want to
that you
go.
said that.
You didn't want to be a
Bringing
bad
it back.
apple.
You
Get
bring it
on a
right
plane with a bad apple pilot, as Chris Rock said. You want a bad apple pilot when you flying overseas? I don't think so.
right.
So certain professions cannot have bad. An operator is one of them.
So that's actually very, 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 very appropriate. That you said that. To the point that I was trying to make. Um, and I'm gonna put the screen on me just for 2 seconds because it hit home for me in terms of strictly the dispatcher and how she handled that other human being. Um, Bentley talked about what he does for a living. I guess I'll throw out there that I am also in human services. Right, I work with children. I run summer camps and community centers, and so I'm constantly interacting with kids, parents, um, people, and there is a certain energy and there's a certain feeling that needs to always be, there's a certain compassion that always needs to be considered when you are working with a human being. And if you, so Bentley referenced, jobs where you can't have bad apples, anything that you're talking about someone's safety or their life, doctors, law enforcement, uh childcare providers, these are not things where you can have a bad apple. And it really made me think about how poorly trained a lot of these dispatchers probably are to handle situations of of a elevated or combative mental state, right? Where where someone's mental aptitude might be in question, right? They may be suffering from some type of manic break. They may be on the spectrum. They may be, they may have social emotional issues that the arriving officers need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And this information is not being consumed in the right way from the dispatcher because she is not approaching the situation from a human place of compassion. And it was clear that that's what was happening. And maybe I took it too much, like maybe it made me feel a little bit, maybe I took it a little bit too far, but it immediately it made me think about what information and what state of mind are officers in when they are now responding. Because think about it, that same lady, like, whatever the escalated situation is, it's her job to now inform, the folks that are going to
Mm-hmm.
actually show up and deal with the situation. It's her job to inform them and let them know what they're dealing with. And I think it's important that they know what they're dealing with, not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. And so, that was really what resonated with me about the whole thing. Is just like, people need to learn how to handle people, and it's a specific skill. And if you are not one of those people, you do not need to be in a field where someone's life is at stake. And I don't care that it's Richard Sherman. It could have been Uncle Joe and cousin Tommy, fighting after the barbecue. It seemed like family business to me. It really seemed like it was just family business. you know so y'all got any last words on this before we take it out?
I'm good.
Last word I'll say is yo, sober up, Sherman. Get your house in order. Shout out to your wife for making sure that the police knew that you were unarmed
That's what I
several
wanted to
times.
say. Damn.
Shout out to
Oh,
your
good
wife. You
job,
might need to
Obi.
go get her back and whatever is going on. Get the
Work
help
that
that you
out.
need as well. But yo, bring that ass here to New York. This can't be you can't just retire on that note, bro. Just so come on. We need you. Teach the young dudes. And you already talked about the head coach. You love Salah, so pull up and let make sure America forgets with a sensational year. We rooting for you and we rooting for your wife and we rooting for your family and we're not rooting
Yes.
for the dispatcher.
Facts.
Yes.
I hope she's toast by tomorrow morning.
Yo, Obi, I'm so glad you said that. I was gonna be so mad at myself if I remembered it later. Shout out to Ashley Moss, Ashley Sherman, wife, because the way that she broke down to the police and the 911 operator, who I hate now, but that his state of mind, and I'm saying this to everybody, that's how you do a 911 call when you have a family member or a loved one is going through something that you need medical or police assistant. You break down exactly what they're going through and you let them know that they said they will attack you, so that these people come prepared, not to kill them when they get on scene, but that they use the right tools that they are equipped with to handle the situation.
Bring some social workers on the scene as well. They do that. When you address it properly, like Bentley said, they'll bring social workers on the scene to talk you down as well, instead of coming out ready to like shoot. And so she made it very clear, please do not shoot. He's unarmed. He's not in the right state of mind. And like Bentley said, we commend her for that call. Um, you know, but yeah, man, come to New York.
We love y'all. Another episode down. Please hit the like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Not gonna lie, NGL. I'm Earl. That's Obi. He's Matthew. We love y'all. Until next time.
Peace.